We've seen time and time again that starfighters are often the deciding factor in battles within the Star Wars universe. The Galactic Civil War was largely won by the pilots of the Rebel Alliance, a faction which, although terribly outgunned by the capital ships of the Empire, managed to win key battles due to the sheer quality of their fighters. Today I present part 1 of what will hopefully be at least a 2-part series examining the best starfighters of different eras of Star Wars legends. Today we'll look at the Clone Wars, the Galactic Civil War, the New Republic era, and the Legacy era. If this video does well, we'll continue by breaking down older eras and perhaps even Star Wars canon. So let's start with the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is an interesting time period because of the CIS's use of droids and droid-controlled fighters. I've previously stated that I believe the best Republic fighter to be the ARC-170, and I stand by that. It's incredibly well armed, functional, decently fast, and maneuverable for its size. Notably, I also love the fact that it has a rear-facing cannon, something that seems incredibly useful but is nonetheless rare in Star Wars fighters. However, on the Confederacy side is perhaps the most underrated starfighter in Star Wars history, the Tri-Fighter. Unlike the ARC-170, the Tri-Fighter was basically the ultimate specialized fighter, and one of the greatest interceptors ever. Now, I'm sure I've lost some of you, but hear me out. They're very small due to the lack of cockpit, but exceptionally well armed for their size, with a light laser cannon on each one of their wings, a medium cannon attached to the fuselage, and a missile launcher. Like an X-Wing, the Tri-Fighter's main cannons could be linked to fire together, making it extremely deadly. But again, because of not only its size, but also its incredible maneuverability and speed, it was exceptionally hard to hit. Somewhat uniquely, the Tri-Fighter had 3 thrusters, which could fire independently, making it very agile. All this goes together to make the Tri-Fighter effective, to say the least, in a dogfight. But the ship's greatest asset was probably its droid brain, which was among the most advanced ever created. It could process information at light speed, and a small group of them almost managed to kill Obi-Wan and Anakin, even with the 2 coordinating through the Force during the Battle of Coruscant. A single fighter was actually seconds away from killing Obi-Wan, and had the 2 Jedi been separated, it may have done so. The only real issue with the fighter is its lack of shield and lesser top speed than some Republic ships, like the Actis Interceptor. Still, given its impressive firepower, small target profile, and just how hard it is to actually nail this thing down, I believe the Tri-Fighter was the best ship of the Clone Wars. Next up we have the Galactic Civil War, and I'm surprised to say that the 2 frontrunners in this category are both fighters of the Galactic Empire. The most obvious choice is the TIE Defender. The TIE Defender was the best fighter that saw at least semi-regular use within the Empire. It was almost twice as fast as a regular TIE, more maneuverable than even an A-Wing, and well armed, with laser or ion cannons on each wing, and either missile or torpedo launchers on the fuselage. Add on to that a B-Wing strength shield, and you can really understand why the Defender is so amazing. How this all fits onto one starfighter is really unknown, but explains why the Defender was one of the most expensive ships in galactic history. The Defender was literally top class for every main specification, and the combination of speed, agility, firepower, and shielding made the fighter almost unbeatable. The Alliance should be thankful that these never became more widespread. But I said 2 fighters. What could possibly beat the Defender, you might be wondering? Perhaps the missile boat, which was actually specifically designed to counter the use of stolen Defenders. It matched the ship in acceleration, and when using its slam booster, could easily double the Defender's top speed, while still possessing respectable maneuverability stats. The missile boat was more durable, with a significantly stronger shield and hull. Weapons-wise, you might be unsurprised to learn that the missile boat relied primarily on a pair of warhead launchers, with only a single secondary laser cannon. With a mixed payload, the fighter could be incredibly versatile, and advanced missiles helped to destroy fast space superiority fighters like the Defender. But which is better? Well, I think it's honestly a matter of preference. The missile boat is certainly unique, and is a better bomber. However, I personally prefer the better maneuverability of the Defender, which is key during dogfights, as well as its more traditional weaponry, but I think either could take the slot here. Next up, we have the New Republic era. If we ignore the Defender, which could honestly perhaps still take the position here, and instead focus on new starfighters, things get interesting. I think it's fairly obvious that the New Republic had the best starfighters of this era. The Chiss Clawcraft, for example, while still a great ship, couldn't compete with the craft created by the the R&D divisions of the New Republic. The Imperial Remnant, on the other hand, didn't really make any great strides forward in starship design. The Yuuzhan Vong I'm not really considering for this list, but their mainline fighter, the Coral Skipper, was eventually overpowered by later generation New Republic fighters. But now that we've nailed the faction down, we still have to choose a fighter. The most advanced New Republic X-Wing was the XJ-3. The XJ line made many small changes over the T-65, which came together to make a significantly better fighter. It had backup shields, an extra torpedo launcher, and more advanced systems generally. However, by the late Vong War and beyond with the Galactic Federation, the Mark IV E-Wing was seen as an elite fighter. Having fixed earlier maintenance issues, the E-Wing was created with top-of-the-line, well, everything, from shielding to firepower to engines, and although not quite as fast as the Defender, was likely nearly as maneuverable, with comparable or better shielding and more powerful laser cannons. The fighter also made use of a specially designed astromech droid, which I think is another benefit. I think the E-Wing, which was purpose-built as the next generation of Starfighter, beats the XJ-3. Could it beat the Defender? I'm not sure, but the late model E-Wings especially were exceptional fighters. I'd like to give a special shout out now to the K-Wing. The K-Wing, while not the best fighter of the era, was almost certainly the best bomber. Its hyper-specialization, I think, precludes it from taking the top spot, but it still deserves some recognition. Finally, we have the Legacy era, and I'll keep this one short. There are a few fighters which I think most would consider in the running. The Predator TIE, which I'm going to eliminate because besides for its small size, it doesn't seem super notable, the Twin Tail, and the Crossfire. Honestly, this one is pretty simple. The Twin Tail is newer, has more advanced systems including an integrated astromech, and was seen as perhaps the greatest space superiority fighter of all time. The Crossfire does have a rear-facing cannon, which, as I said earlier, I quite like, but was significantly larger, slower, and likely made with less advanced systems than the Twin Tail. I think the Crossfire would perform better in some roles, but overall, the Twin Tail is superior. And those are my picks. What do you think? Do you agree? Did I miss the mark with something? Is the Tri-Fighter not as good as I've been saying? Let me know all of that, as well as the eras you'd like me to consider next, down in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch today's video. I really appreciate it. As always, this has been EckhartsLadder. Until I see you next, may the Force be with you.